In Part 3 of our discussion with Chuck Richards, founder and CEO of CoreValue Software, we'll explore the metrics and underlying algorithms that make CoreValue such a powerful tool for middle market owners and C-level executives, both for assessing the company's value gap and for managing ongoing operations.
Now, you mentioned a few metrics there that are very interesting. Basically saying, obviously you come up with valuation ranges. You come up with, for even specific problems, fix that problem and your value will go up by X, which is very intriguing, and it's obviously very intuitive. The question becomes, okay, it's a black box. Where do those numbers come from? Sort of what kind of reliability do those numbers convey?
Again, as you can tell, I'm a geek at heart. So we back check everything that we do. All our algorithms are back checked and they're tested. We've actually written a number of white papers on it, which are available to people. But what we did, we said, okay, we have a methodology for measuring enterprise value. And what we wanted to do is put that methodology up against financial valuation methodologies. Financial valuation methodologies, there's 7 or 8 of them. And what they do is they say, give me your financial results, and then we're going to project into the future based on a number of things, what we think will happen, and we're going to give you a number. Now, financial valuations give you a single number. So one of our advisors who works with us, his name is Ron Everett. He was head of a number of offices for E&Y, did valuations. He opened up his own valuation practice. He then did almost 5,000 valuations for the SBA when they were looking at their SBIC programs. And so we used Ron's data set and database to back-check our methodology against financial valuations. And they always came within 5 or 10% of each other. And so we know that the numbers that we generate for enterprise value are very reliable. And then we have our own set of data sets where we then have, over the last 15 years, been able to not only look at sort of the amount of value that's created, but also end results. So when companies were sold, did they fall within what we expected the range to be? And they do. So we had an interesting case that came up a year or so ago, and it was about a $35 million company, and the owner got an offer and was pretty excited about it, and the offer was close to the revenue, which is about $35 million, and they proceeded forward, and then they got a note or a letter from the buyer saying, we're going to walk away from this deal for the following 4 reasons. The owner was pretty devastated and turned to this advisor and said, well, geez, what do we do now? And the advisor said, we have this tool called CoreValue. Let's run the business through it. So what was stunning to this business owner was when they completed it, the value that the tool gave them was within a few $100,000 of the absolute offer. So they were so close that they were almost the exact same thing. But what really got the attention of that owner was we have something called red flags. So not only does the software help you understand sort of what's strong and what's weak and the value of fixing things, we also pick up red flags. Red flags are things that can destroy all the value of the business or things that will keep a deal from being completed. So this company had 4 red flags, and there were the 4 exact reasons that this buyer walked away from the deal. So we get stories like that, day in and day out.
Interesting. So I guess that it's an interesting point because there's a lot of things that you cover there. I mean, it's not just about preparing yourself to exit the business and create value in that respect. It's also about, again, pre-due diligence. Better to find out this way than later on, obviously. And it's also about running a company. I mean, it's right. Really sort of, this is almost a dashboard to say, here's how I'm doing, on the key things that make my business run. It's kind of a nice little dashboard that says this is what it is. This is what you really ought to be focusing on. Whether you want to sell it or not, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is this is what you should be focusing on. And that's kind of an intriguing thought. That sort of elusive everyone talks about dashboards for your business, then that sort of elusive set of data that no one's ever quite captured very well. I mean, this sounds like it's it. I mean, it's those 18 drivers are pretty much a roadmap, a dashboard to tell someone, hey, this is what you should be doing, which is, I think, pretty extraordinary. Yeah.
Yeah. The 18 drivers have been, reviewed, endorsed by sort of the top business folks around. Folks at Harvard Business School and at MIT and at places like that, and we've literally used it with thousands of owners and thousands of advisors and M&A firms. And the interesting thing is when you show them the 18 drivers, they go through them, and they mostly go, well, duh, that makes sense.
Right.
They're very commonsensical. When you see them, you go, well, that's obvious. And that's probably the best thing that could happen is people say, yes, they're obvious. So what we do is we enable people to measure that in a way that's actionable. And that's really sort of the secret of our algorithms and all the stuff that we do is that we have spent 30-plus years building that, doing the research so that an owner or a CEO or an advisor can do in about 90 minutes, which used to take us almost 3 months when we were in advisory practice.
In Part 4 of our discussion with Chuck, we'll discuss in detail how CoreValue can enable middle market owners to identify and address special gaps in their operations that may hinder their sustainability and transferability.